Today's episode is extra special because the guest I have, she wears many incredible hats. She's not only our lead pastor's wife, but she's also the heart behind our kids' ministry. I'm thrilled to welcome Pastor Donna Hester as we talk about kids, faith, and how the next generation is anything but ordinary. Welcome to Not Your Typical Church Podcast. My name is Cory, and this is a place for real conversations about church, life, and everything in between. Today is a special day because I have with me probably the most prestigious guest that I could get, okay?
I don't know about all that.
Pastor Donna, Pastor Dale's better half. You see, he may be the head of the church, but she is definitely the neck that turns the head.
That's right. And don't forget it.
So we have her here today. She's going to talk to us about kids ministry. Pastor Donna, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Doing good. Glad to be here.
It's been a real slow time for you this past few weeks, right?
Not really. Not really. Is there ever a slow time for me?
I don't
Just
think
asking.
so.
I'm not sure.
So we just came out of Trunk or Treat, 1,000 kids.
Yeah.
You're preparing right now for our Christmas musical.
Yeah. Away in a mango.
Away in a Mango. That's not a, she didn't say that wrong. That's exactly how it is. It's Away in a Mango. It's kind of got a Gilligan's Island vibe to it.
It does. It does.
And so excited about that. Y'all are practicing for that.
We are.
Every Sunday, how many kids?
Every Sunday morning I have 15 kids that are the main cast.
Okay, now how many kids do you have on Sunday morning for service?
Oh, about 140, 150. Not many.
Yeah, that's... Yeah. If you don't think it's a lot, just come down there one Sunday and just watch during checkout or check in. Yeah. Actually, you can't because we don't let strangers in there.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
But there's a lot of kids. Wednesday night, same thing?
Same thing.
Hour and a half on Wednesdays. Really, hour and a half on Sundays.
Really,
too.
an hour and a half on Sunday. We won't. Pastor Dale don't watch this. So.
But long time, and you keep them in there, keep them occupied, and so we're going to talk about that. There's a lot we can talk to you about because you do a lot of things more than just kids ministry. Right. Within the church, and we get together and plan out a lot of our events and do that kind of stuff. And so I want to say thank you for all that you do.
You're welcome.
But let's dive into the kids ministry today and
right.
see if we can help somebody.
And then that's my happy place.
And then we're going to come in. Next time I'm going to have her on for all you ladies. We're going to just have her show how you be the perfect pastor's wife.
I want to get somebody else on that one.
So let's talk about why kids ministry is so important. So I want to go back just a little bit. So when you and Pastor Dale first got here, one of the first things y'all established was kid ministry. Why?
Yes. Because there were 8 children at that moment, and I have a heart for children. I'll tell you a funny little story here. When we first started, some of the ladies in the congregation, they came to me and Pastor Dale and said, well, we just feel like you probably, maybe need to be in the service a couple of times a month, and then you can do kids in between. I tried it twice. Well, after the second time I went home and I told Dale, I said, I can't do this. I said, that's not where my heart's at. My heart's back there worrying about those children. And so we just grew the ministry from there.
That's amazing. So 8 to 148.
148, yeah. We'll take that.
That's pretty good growth in 15 years.
Yeah.
And so kids ministry is important. And here's what we know. Kids ministry is kind of almost the foundation because it isn't just childcare. Now, so that's what we need to establish here today. It's not just childcare. It's not just you're dropping them off and we're babysitting them.
Right.
Even though sometimes we even promote it that way on Parents' Night Out.
Right.
But it's really not that. It is ministry. It's a foundation for lifelong faith. Mm-hmm. And I'll give you a few scriptures here in a minute and to back that up. But reaching kids early is important. In fact, I think the statistic is that most people make a decision to follow Jesus before age 18, like 90%.
That's correct.
And so we've got to get them. And here's what we found. Is if you'll get the kids excited to come to church, then guess who else comes?
The parents.
That's right, Mama and Daddy.
Yeah.
And then sometimes even Grandma and Grandpa.
Exactly.
And so it's worked out. So let me ask you this question. Why do you believe kids ministry is the most important ministry or is one of the most important ministries in the church?
I think that it's the most important because that's where the foundation is set. It's like you said, most kids, if they're going to, and it's actually 14 to 18 because kids are a little more mature at this stage in life, at 14 than they were years ago. And if you get that foundation where they understand that God is that's their source, that's going to be their go-to. And if you establish that when they're young, and as they grow older, they get deeper in their faith, and they grow in their faith, and they grow in God. So if you don't start that until they're 12, 13, 14 years old, which is okay. If you haven't started yet and you want to start now at that age, it's okay. But the more you get instilled in them when they're younger, the more their faith will grow, the more their foundation, and the more solid that foundation will be as they grow.
I agree with that. So that's good. That's really good. So it's important to get kids in there. Mm-hmm. Now, at the church, we did some pretty drastic things to reach kids.
We did.
All right. You almost got stoned a few times.
Yeah. I got a few bruises, but makeup takes care of that.
That's right. So we took our fellowship hall and turned it into a kids' church.
Yeah.
Tell them what you did.
We took out
you did.
We took out the sacred pews.
Yeah.
That was a big one.
Yeah.
And we took it out and we made that more of an arcade.
Mm-hmm, yep.
Now, you think, oh gosh, what are kids going to church for the arcade for? What we use that for is the first 15, 20, 30 minutes when they're there. What we do with that is they go in and they build relationships. And so that's their time to join together, have fun, and it is a fun factor. We have lights, we have the big screen with a movie playing, we have arcade games, and the kids really have built relationships that they would have never had they not had that area to do that. If we didn't have that, they would go straight to class, and they'd meet, 15, 20 kids, and that would be their circle. But this way, their circle gets larger, and they get to meet a lot more kids and build those relationships.
That's good. So let me ask you this question. So you've been doing kids ministry for longer than 15 years, but you've been doing that in New Life for 15 years.
Right.
Does it really work? Have you got any example of where you've seen a child's faith do something? Or
Well, I think the big thing is something you alluded to was a lot of times whenever those kids start coming, the parents are dropping them off, and they go on their merry way. They go back home, go shopping, whatever. But what happens is those kids get excited, and I have so many parents that will tell me on Monday and on Thursday, the kids are like, are we going back to church tomorrow? So they get excited about it, and they get their parents in church. And these a lot of times are parents that they don't have any interest in going to church or anything about God, but they see their kids getting excited, and they come home talking about God, and it gets them in church. So I think that's really big when the child leads the parent to church instead of the parents dragging the kids to church.
I agree with that. And then the other thing we know, and I'm just messing with you a little bit on that, is that we know the Bible says in Proverbs 22:6, train up a child in the way it should go.
Right.
And Deuteronomy, it says all the time, teach them what's, every day. And that foundation, they'll never depart from it. They might go wayward for a little while.
Exactly.
But
it's
back
in there. It's instilled in
And
them.
so what I've noticed at Kids Point is that you have a lot of workers. And our Kids Point is what we call our children's ministry, by the way, is that it were once kids that you were ministering to. And some of them are junior helpers.
Exactly.
I know you're doing that. But some of them are adults now and working. And so
Exactly. And the good thing about it, too, is it's not just them working in Kids Point. I see them in your building doing major, leading worship. Working in the nursery and helping to be a leader over there and greeting and just a lot of different things. And just like I'll use trunk or treat, for instance. My heart was so warmed this week when that happened because I saw so many of the kids that were 5, 6 years old, and now they're grown. When we came here, they were 5 or 6, and they had trunks, and they put time into it, and they were excited about it because they were serving. And to see the children serve that you have watched grow and grow deeper in God and grow deeper in their faith, to watch that happen is just amazing.
So what would you say to someone who says, well, you shouldn't have junior helpers and do that? So those kids need to graduate to the sanctuary, and then they be listening to real preaching. And, you don't need to use young kids to do that. You need to send them on their way. What would you say?
I would say, number one, I totally disagree with that. I'll give you a couple of examples, too, that we've got kids, and I was this kid, okay? I've had several parents, and I'd go to them and I'd say, why is Cory, I'll use you for an example, why is Cory not coming to kids' church anymore? And they say they just don't feel like they fit.
Right.
They may be introverted, or they just may not have lots of friends over there. So I tell them, give them to me. Mm-hmm. Give them to me. Because I know that even though they're teaching over there, they're hearing it and they're learning it themselves.
Right. Yep.
So they're really getting what they would get in kids' church, but they're serving at the same time. So I just think that it's just real important to not say, okay, and I did have, and I've fudged on this rule a little bit, I had it where I had a certain age, 14, that was it. Right. You had to be 14 to be able to serve, but I've changed that a lot. Kids are on different levels maturity-wise now, and if I see a kid that is ready to serve, but they have to prove themselves, but if they're ready to serve, I'll go ahead and pull them in and place them so that they can grow in, because there's a lot of kids that have a servant's heart. That's not something God gives you as an adult. I think that He instills that when you're younger, and I think that you can't put an age on that. Now, obviously, you don't want 8-year-olds coming in trying to be junior helpers, but right. But I think that if they're ready, or if they're in a situation where they really are not ready for the auditorium or the sanctuary, the big church we call it, but they don't want to come to kids' church, I think that you can take your time with them and sow into them so that they can become servants. And once they serve there, once they get to a point, they'll go to your building and serve.
I think that's a great point that you're making. And it's almost like there was this wise man, I think his name was Jesus.
Yeah.
And he said,
I remember him.
In Matthew, I believe it was, he said, let the little children come to me. And so he encourages kids to come. Mm-hmm. But I also look at that as, if kids come and want to serve, right? Those kids might just want to go meet Jesus and sit at His feet and learn.
Exactly.
But they might have wanted to come say, hey, how can I help? Because, one thing kids love to do is they love to help.
Yes, they do.
And so I think you're doing a great job there. Let's back up a little bit. You talked a little bit about the technology a while ago and how you have the arcade. I want to back up way long ago.
Okay.
When you first got here, and before we changed you talking about making the arcade. Now, that's our old sanctuary.
Right.
But before that, you were in the fellowship hall.
I was.
Okay, and tell them what you did there, because when you came there was, you and Pastor Dale first got here, there was 88 people the first Sunday. We didn't really have a big children's budget. And so you weren't able to do a lot of technology and kind of stuff. So tell them what you did, because there may be somebody watching now say, well, if I had the budget New Light's got and you could do that, then I do it. But we didn't have that 15 years ago. So what did you do to the fellowship hall to make it kid-friendly?
Well, it was very sterile. It was just a fellowship hall. It was tile floors and brown walls and partitions.
Yep.
So we went in and we took everything down, and I had a lady that volunteered her time, and she is a great artist. And we came in and we wanted a beachy theme, so we called it the Anchor. Mm-hmm. And so we painted the walls, and it was like you were at the beach when you walked in there. Mm-hmm. Yep. And that made the kids, that was exciting. Kids love the beach, So we had to think outside of the box and not just do little kiddie cartoon stuff, but we made it where they wanted to come, and it was a wow factor when they came in. So that was one thing we did, and we just we made it kid friendly. We made it their own little church down there.
And so you didn't spend a lot of money on technology, but I do remember one thing that you did is you built an ark.
We did build an ark.
Not a whole entire ark, but
It was big, though.
Yeah, it was very big, but it was the front facade. And what she used it for was you would do puppets.
Puppet shows.
To begin with.
Yeah.
We don't do a lot of puppets anymore.
We don't do a lot of puppets because we have the technology.
That's right. But that's what we did back then. And so if you're in a small church and you're thinking, well, I don't have those resources to do that, you can do something.
Yeah.
But the point that I want to make behind that is that what you did was you said, hey, this space is dedicated to kids.
Exactly.
And it gave them a place to belong.
Exactly.
And so I think that's important. So you need to give them a space that's dedicated to them. Now, as times have changed and technology has changed, when I was coming up, I didn't get a cell phone until I was 16. When I got my driver's license, I got my first cell phone. And all it did was call.
Right.
It didn't do all the things that these do now, and the technology and the
Right.
games and all that stuff. So we've had to kind of evolve as we're going. Now these kids are on iPads from the time they can walk and talk
Exactly.
good. And so we're in this digital age, and kids have become digital learners, and they like visuals, they like music, they like motion. And we know that all that stuff kind of helps teach or helps them learn because we see it used in schools.
Right.
And so are we using tech to enhance what we're doing on Sunday mornings?
Well, we have videos, and the thing is, we don't just have a straightforward video. Everything's real structured, but it is geared to that particular class, those particular students. And what we do with that, it creates a fun factor, but the main thing is that our fun always turns back to God and God's Word and teaching them. It's not just okay, we're going to do a fun video today. It is actually always, it may start out fun, and the thing is, you're not tricking them, but they think, oh, this is going to be great, this is going to be fun. But at the same time, we turn them back to God, and they have fun learning about God instead of there's nothing wrong with reading stories, nothing wrong with books. I think they're great. I think that that's still of today. But if you put that fun factor in there and you give them videos that are for them, that are fun, they can laugh at them, they can have fun with them, interact. Like you said, interact. They have songs with motions, depending on the class age and everything. They have songs with motions. They have stories, and then they have the Bible story that goes along with it. Then it goes back to a fun factor again. So you throw God in there in the middle of it, in the midst of all that, and they're like, "Wow, this is fun. I want to come back."
Right. Yep.
So
it's really good. So we use videos, and somebody may be out there saying, "Oh, why do you use videos? Why don't you use real teachers?" Well, here's what we found is that we do have teachers in every classroom, and they help build the lesson. But the videos you're talking about, they are done with very good quality.
exactly.
And they have resources and stuff that we don't even have.
Exactly.
And so they're sending them out. And so I know we use Orange Curriculum for anybody that's wondering. And if you need links for it, shoot us a message. We'll tell you where you can get hooked up on that. But I know Van Hollen's favorite one that she ever watched. You know which one it is.
So-and-so show.
The So-and-so show.
The So-and-so show.
That she loved.
I love the So-and-so show.
I love the So-and-so show. And my favorite thing that they do on the So-It Show is human head puppet theater. If you don't know what that is, go YouTube it. It is hilarious what they do. But it's really funny, but they're learning at the same time.
Exactly.
And then Kellen comes on and tells them the Bible story.
Exactly.
And it's good and it's quality. So that's why we use the videos and we use lights. So when they're doing the church clap, because it gets them excited and fun. Because sometimes here's what happens on Sunday mornings. They come in there and they're asleep.
Exactly.
Mom and Daddy drug them out to bed.
Exactly.
And so we got to get them awake and learn. Now, Wednesday night's a little different.
we don't need to get them fired up because
if you want to give your kids some melatonin before you come to church on Wednesday,
we don't mind at all.
But on Sunday mornings we have to get them awake, and so we'll play church clap, and we'll have flashing lights, and we'll have the music loud, and we got subs in there, and so that it's got a good hard beat, and it gets them clapping and doing those kind of things. We have the arcade like you talked about, where they can play different games. But we don't. It's not all digital too. We have checkers set up and different stations for kids that aren't into that kind of stuff.
Right.
And a new thing that we just got is a floor projector.
Yes.
Now this thing was really cool. Somebody donated some money to the church, and we were able to purchase that. And it's like interactive. Like you can play soccer on the floor with the projector.
And as a matter of fact, I think you and myself and Libby and Sherry have gotten a little bit of trouble with that.
Yes, that's right.
Because we got caught.
Yes. Pastor Dale called us doing that, but I think it was really just jealousy that he wasn't playing.
Yeah.
Because if you remember, it was me and him who first played.
Yeah. He just happened to walk in and say, "I see what my staff does while I'm away."
Yeah, that's right. But we had to try things out. We can't put kids on stuff that's not
right.
tested, and so that's the way we use technology. It's not.
Now let me step back on something too. You were talking about the videos. People saying, "Why do you use videos?" Well, we do use the videos for teaching and everything, but when those videos are over, that's where the teacher steps in. Because what we do is we reinforce what that video just said. And one thing I do when I'm teaching, I'll just use my personal teaching style, but we circle up And I ask every child in there, what is one thing? Don't tell me the whole story. Don't tell me the whole video because some of them know every word because they've just got that kind of memory. But I tell them, tell me one thing you learned about the story today, one thing you learned in the video. And what happens by the time you go around 20 children, each of them have told a little different part. So those children have heard that story again.
Yep.
So it reinforces. So we do the traditional teaching. We just preempt it with the videos.
And the videos also come with activities.
Exactly.
That they can do. A lot of projects. I mean, most Wednesdays I see kids leaving out of there with something that they've built or colored or done or a game that they did that was specific for the lesson. So it's really cool. And we'll talk about it in a little bit about some other tools that go along with that you as parents can use if you're watching this.
Exactly.
So here's what I want to do before we move on to the next part. And I want you to talk for just a second to a smaller church out there that maybe doesn't have a children's program right now.
Right.
Encourage them, tell them, hey, where do they need to start? Because it can be overwhelming.
Right.
When you're thinking about reaching kids. And,
exactly.
And especially when we say, they're into technology stuff. Well, we don't have a budget for technology and that kind of thing.
Right.
So where would you start?
Well, the thing that I think about is where we started. And we didn't have the budget. We didn't have it. We just didn't have it. Didn't have the people. We didn't have the resources. So we just had to get creative with it. We did what we talked about visually. But another thing, there are a lot of resources. Now, the Orange curriculum is pricey, but it's worth it. I think it's worth every dime because it's working. But there are a lot of resources out there that are free. We used, was it Life Church?
Life Church, open.church is the website you
Yes,
can go to.
and we use them, and they talking about quality videos, their stuff is massive quality. I mean, it's like TV quality.
Yep.
And we use that for a long time. So there's a lot of resources you can use out there that are free. Another thing, too, is talking about, we started with a projector, and that was it. You can buy projectors relatively cheap these days.
Well, here's the other thing. There is somebody in your congregation, I don't care if you've got 50 people, that has an old TV that wants to update, that'll give you a TV.
Exactly.
Now, listen, let me say this. A lot of people want to bring their junk to the church.
Yes, we don't take junk.
Take it. But if it's a quality TV, and maybe you're going from a 55-inch to a 65-inch at home, donate it to your children's ministry. They can use it. They can slap a Roku on it and pull up YouTube. The Life Church videos, you can pull those up on YouTube if you don't have the software and stuff to run it. So.
And they actually have the curriculum to go with that. It's not just video driven. You can actually pull that off, print it off for your teachers. But you do not have to have a massive budget to do this. There are resources out there, and there's more every day because now everything is YouTube driven on a lot of teaching and stuff. And there's just a lot of resources out there. So and the thing is to be consistent. You need to stay, whatever you start, stay with that and make sure it's going to work. If it doesn't work, change to something else. But don't just change just for where do I need to go?
That light switch. All right, so go back to stay consistent.
Okay, what they need to do is stay consistent. If they start something, try it for a while. See if it works. If it doesn't work, there's something else out there. But if it works, stay with it. Stick with it. We stayed with Life Church until there was no more videos, no more resources out there, so we had to switch to something else. But I would say don't get frustrated or discouraged because you may not have the money. You really don't have to have any money to start a kids program. And if you get down to snacks, candy, whatever, things like that you want to have during that time, we don't always have that. But Dum-Dums are cheap.
Yeah,
you can buy big bags of Dum-Dums.
That's exactly right.
I mean, kids don't care. They just, they like rewards and they like for you to, have stuff for them. But like I said, for the smaller churches that want to start this, I don't care if you have 3 children. We started with 8.
Yep.
And you can make it fun and make it relative to where they want to come back.
That's right. So when she started, it was one group. And then as we grew, I had to...
Kindergarten through 8th grade.
Yeah.
Now, how do you teach a kindergartner and an 8th grade? That's a God thing.
Yeah. So that's the way it was. And then as it grew, we had to expand. I had to fight with her a little bit about that and say, listen, you can't teach everybody. You're going to have to help some other people, let some other people teach. And,
I didn't want to let go.
And she did. She loved the kids. So, and that's the problem that you're probably going to have as your ministry grows. If you love kids and you're doing this for the right reasons, it's going to be hard to let some of them go. And
Yes.
but as you grow, you're going to do those things. And the good thing about it is when you are smaller, you can buy, we're talking, if you got 10 kids, you can buy candy for 10 kids. You can buy, you can go to Hardee's and get 10 sausage biscuits for 10 kids on that thing. But I would say probably start, and you tell me if you agree with this, find them a dedicated area. Make it look like it's for kids and kid-friendly.
That's a big thing. Visual is so important with kids, not necessarily technology visual. If you do have that TV, that's a great thing because they're so used to having something, some kind of device, whether it's a TV on a wall, something in their hand, whatever. I'm talking from the time of toddlers. And this is how savvy they are at a young age. When my phone, if I need something on my phone now, if I have a 7-year-old beside me, they're like, well, Miss Donna, I'll fix that for you.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just good with that.
Yep.
But visually, you need it to where they walk in and there's a wow factor of some kind.
Yep. So you just start simple, get that dedicated space, find you a curriculum that works. There are free curriculums out there. And so just get busy working and doing that. And hey, thank you for tuning in so far on today's episode of Not Your Typical Church Podcast. Hey, we're going to finish this conversation next week, so make sure you like and subscribe. Tune in next week as we finish this conversation with Pastor Donna. Until then, keep showing up, stay curious, and never settle for typical.